We are on Bab Dalet.
Yeah.
Its nose is punctured, notched, or slit, or its lips is punctured, not or slit, or its front teeth are notched or worn down, and its back teeth are uprooted. The Canina Benedictio says, we do not examine behind the molars nor the molars themselves. The sheath of the male organ is notched, or the genitals of the female is consecrated in consecrated animals. The tail is notched in the bone, but not in the joint, or if the tip of the tail was exposed to the bone, or if there is a finger's breadth of flesh between the joints of the tail. It does not have testicles, or it only has one testicle. What Ishmael says, if it has two pouches, it has two testicles. If it only has one pouch, it has one testicle. But Akiva says it should be set on the buttock and squeezed. If there is a testicle there, it will eventually emerge. It once happened that it squeezed it, and it did not emerge, and it was slaughtered, and it found attached to the loins. And Rabbi Akiva permitted it. But Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri prohibited it.
Okay. Baal chamesh raglayim. So if an animal has 5 legs, that's considered a mum. It's not a treifa, but if it's missing a back leg, then it's also, or she'ein lo ela shalosh. If it only got 3 legs, then it's that's also considered a mum, unless it's missing a back leg, in which case it's also a treifa. Okay. V'shiraglav klutos kashel shamor or chamor, or if its hooves are closed like that of a donkey, so it's supposed to be a split hoof, but if the hooves have grown together to be like a donkey's, that is also a mum. Shachul v'kasul, and we're going to, and shachul and kasul, the Mishna itself is going to explain. Ezehu shachul, what does that mean? Shenishmet hayirecho, its hip is dislocated. The kasul she'achas miyarcho sav gevoha, if one of its thighs is higher than the other, so it's sort of got a crooked look, where it's sort of leaning over to the side because one of its legs is longer than the other. And both of those are considered a mum, on which you can shechte before. And mishneches nishbar etzem yado, if its front leg is broken, the etzem raglo, or the bone of its back leg is broken, afal pisha enonikar, even though it's not recognizable, even though you can't see the actual break. Excuse me, just a sec. There. Excuse me. There we go. Okay, got it out. Even though it's not noticeable. Now the Gemara explains that it's that you can't see the break itself, but you can see, because the animal is limping and it can't do its work properly, that it's got a broken leg. Okay, and that's only like that is it considered a mum. But if you can't tell it at all, and you need an X-ray to see a hairline fracture or something that doesn't affect the animal's behavior at all, that's not called a mum. Okay, mumin elu mana ila biyavne. These mumim over here were enumerated by an expert called Ila in Yavne. Hodu lo chachamim, and the chachamim agreed with him. But he added on another 3 cases. Amru lo shamanu es elu. And they said to him, "We've never heard of such a thing. We agree with everything up till now that you've said, but we don't know about this this other mum that you're talking. These other mum, and what are they? Eshegalgal eno agol kashel adam. If its eyeball is round like a person's." Now I'm not sure how an animal's eyeball is less round than a person, but perhaps what they're talking about is the eye, is the pupil. Because the pupil of the eye is of most of the kosher animals is like a little rectangle, a horizontal rectangle. And so so perhaps that's what they mean. Does the article give any commentary as to what galgal eno, around like a person's?
If I can find this, the circle of the eye is round like that of a man. These are the 3 additional ones. The first one, that the circle of the eye is round like that of a human, exactly what is meant by the subject is dispute. Some explain this to mean that the slot of the eye is round like that of a human, which is something abnormal for an animal.
Right, a pupil. So that's the pupil, right?
Right.
Yeah, because if you look at goats and sheep, they've got this rectangular slit. That's
An animal's pupil, however, is not round like that of a human eye. Should the pupil be round, it is considered a blemish.
yeah. Okay. Okay, so great. So that was right about that. All right. Upiv dome el shel chazir, or it's got a mouth that looks like that of a pig. How does a pig's, because its upper lip is over is extends beyond the lower lip, and that's the shape of a pig's mouth. V'shenital rov hamedaber shel lashono, or if most of the tongue has been removed. Now the medaber, because that's where a person speaks with, it's supposed to be attached to the right. Is the part that's not attached to your mouth directly. So you've got a certain, like your tongue is attached to the bottom of your mouth up until a certain point, and everything else after that is called the medaber. And if most of that has been removed from the animal, then Ela says that this is also considered a mum. So the Chachamim of his time disagreed with him. They came and agreed that these are also called mumin, and that is the halacha. Mishna tes maaseh shehalechi hatachton odef ala elyon. Now, what happens if the lower jaw extends beyond the upper jaw? He's got this jutting out jaw, right? V'shalach Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel lechachamim, and he sent a shayla to his colleagues. V'amru harei ze mum. They said, yeah, this is considered a mum. Ozen hagedi shehai sakfula. Now, what if you have a double ear? Okay, so the animal has got basically got two ridges in its ear instead of one going around the edge. Is that considered a mum? Amru chachamim bisman shehi etzem echad mum. If it's all one bone, well, that is to say that it's cartilage. Let's just see. Rashi explains that that's the right, so if basically the cartilage of the ear is doubled over and it's all one piece, that's considered a mum. And if it's not all conjoined, eina mum, that's not considered a mum. Rashi says that the reason for this is not clear to me, but Rambam apparently reads it the opposite way. Just a second, I want to load this up.
I mean, it's not one body. If two cartilages are not attached at the top, the existence of two ears does not constitute a blemish. The Rav, Rashi, and the Rav admit that they are at a loss to explain why a double cartilage does not constitute a blemish and a single cartilage does. Nevertheless, they find no inconsistency between this ruling and the double ear. So a double cartilage is not a blemish, and the earlier ruling that an animal with 5 legs is considered to be blemished. The difference is that the extra ear is not as notable as the extra leg.
Okay, shkoyach, thank you. Okay. Rabbi Chananya ben Gamliel Omer. So Rabbi Chananya ben Gamliel says, Znav hagadi shehi doma l'shel chazir. If the tail of a kid is like a pig, it's round, although not as slender as a pig's. She'ein ba shalosh chulios, or if it doesn't have 3 bones in it, harei ze mum. So if it doesn't have 3 segments, then it's considered a mum. This is confined to a lamb's tail, where the absence of a 3rd segment constitutes a blemish. Okay, but a kid's tail, 1 segment is a blemish, but not 2.
I want to ask in Mishna Chet, unless the Nakuda is wrong in mine, was I have Ayela.
You have okay, in Hebrew, it's written Elu Ela, the person's name. Are you looking at the person's name?
Elu?
It's written in Hebrew Ela. Aleph Yud Lamed Aleph.
I have Yud Aleph Yud Lamed Aleph.
That's right. Yeah.
Different. What do you have? What's in the Nakuda under yours?
It's a chirik under the Aleph and a kamatz under the Lamed.
I have three under there. I don't remember what they call them. The straight line underneath, the horizontal line.
That's called a
Underneath,
patach.
right under each one of those letters, except the last one.
Ayala.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
That's the thing is that a lot of these things were written without nikud, so we just if we in the Sefer Torah we've got a Masorah as to what the nikud is. When it comes to Mishnah, we just we got to use our best guesses.
I was just pointing it out just because I didn't know if his mind was wrong or what. So all right, okay. But you usually don't make mistakes like that. So not that it was a mistake, but
Okay.
okay. We have Gimel. Rabbi Yossi ben Meshulam says, if one slaughters a Bekor, he may make a space for a butcher's hatchet on either side and pluck the hair, provided that he does not dislodge it from its place. The same is true for one who plucks the hair to reserve the place of a blemish. If the hair is blemished, if the hair of a blemished Bekor fell out and it's placed in its recess in the wall, and afterward he slaughtered it, Akiva ben Mahalalel permits it, and the sages prohibit it. These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi, however, says not in this case does a Shiva alone permit it. Rather, they argued about the hair of a blemished Bekor that fell out and was placed in a recess, and afterwards the animal died. In this case, Akiva ben Mahalalel permits it, and the sages prohibit it. If wool is hanging from a Bekor, that which appears to be from the sheathing is permissible, and that which does not appear to be from the shearing is prohibited. And we've on to Daled Aleph. How long is a Yisrael required to care for a Bekor? With small livestock until 30 days, and with livestock 50 days. Rabbi Yossi said with small livestock 3 months. If the Kohen said to him within this time, give it to me, he may not give it to him. If it was a blemish and he said to him, give it to me so that I may eat it, it is permissible. However, during the era of the temple, it was perfect, and he said to him, give it to me that I offer it, it is permissible. The Bekor must be eaten within the year, and whether it is perfect or blemish, as it is said, before Hashem your God, you shall eat it year by year.
Okay.
If it developed a blemish during its first.
That's it. That's three.
I'm sorry. I never really learned the names of all the Nikudim. I just know I learned how to pronounce them, but I wasn't.
Okay.
Well, that's one of my faults out of many. Okay. If one slaughters within the top ring and leaves over a hairbreadth along its entire circumference, its slaughtering is valid. If Yossi bar Yehuda says a hairbreadth along the greater part of its circumference. If one slaughters from the sides, his slaughtering is valid. If one pours malika from the sides, his malika is invalid. If one slaughters from the nape, his slaughtering is invalid. And if one pours malika from the nape, his malika is valid. If one slaughters from the throat, his slaughtering is valid. If one pours malika from the throat, his malika is invalid because the entire nape is valid for malika and the entire throat is valid for slaughtering. Thus, what is valid for slaughtering is valid for malika, and what is valid for malika is valid for slaughtering. What is fit for turtle doves is unfit for young pigeons. What is fit for young pigeons is unfit for turtle doves. And the beginning of the yellowing in both is unfit.
Okay.
Avos. Halad Gimel. He used to say, do not be scornful of any person, and do not discard anything, for you have no person within his hour, and you have no thing without its place. Levitus said, the leader of Yavne says, be exceedingly humble in spirit, and for the anticipated end of mortal man is worms. But Yochanan ben Roka says, whoever desecrates the name of heaven is in secret, they will exact punishment from him in public. Unintentional and intentional both are alike regarding this desecration of the name. If Yishmael, son of Yochanan ben Roka, says, one who studies Torah in order to teach is given the means to study and to teach. The one who studies Torah in order to practice is given the means to study and to teach, to observe and to practice. If Tzaddik says, do not make the words of Torah into a crown in order to be glorified through them, nor a spade with which to dig. And so Till Hill used to say, and one who makes use of the crown will pass away. From this you derive whoever seeks personal benefit from the word of Torah removes his life from the world. I think there's also a Mishna talking about something about someone which is to benefit himself with, I guess, with pride and with pride and like he wants to show everybody what he knows and everything. That's the same
Right.
thing. This Mishna.
There is something in Avos about that. Like if you learned a lot of Torah, don't take pride in it, because that's what you're created for.
Right. I don't.
That just means that you're fulfilling your function.
Right. This is Dalabah base. Originally, he would convene a court elsewhere and nullify it. Rabbi Gabriel the elder decreed that they should not do this for the sale of the general good. Originally, he would change his name and her name, the name of the town, his town, and the name of her town. But Rabbi Gabriel the elder decreed that he write the man so and so and any name he has, the woman so and so any name she has, for the sake of the general good. A widow is not paid for the property of orphans except with an oath. They ceased from imposing an oath upon her. So Rabbi Gamliel the elder decreed that he should make a neder prohibiting whatever the orphans wish and collect her kasuba. Witnesses sign on a get for the sake of the general good, and Hillel decreed the proposed bill for the sake of the general good. A slave who was taken captive and they redeemed him is to be a slave. He shall be subjugated. If to be a free man, he shall not be subjugated. If he is to be a free man, he shall not be subjugated. Rabbi Simon ben Gamliel says in either case he shall be subjugated. A slave whose master designated him as a payment for the debt to another and then freed him by right of law, the slave should not be liable at all for the sake of the general good. And they compel his master to free him, and he writes a bond for his value. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says he does not write only the one who freed him. That's it. Okay. Bechoros.
Shabbos.
Oh,
Shabbos
yeah.
first.
Valid. If an olive volume of a human corpse was in the mouth of a raven, and it is uncertain whether it formed a roof over a person or over utensils in a private domain, the uncertainty regarding a person is ruled tameh, but even the uncertainty regarding utensils is ruled tahor. If one fills 10 buckets of water and a sheriff is found in one of the buckets, it is tameh, and all the others are tahor. If one pours water from one vessel to another vessel, and a sheriff is found in the lower vessel, the upper one is tahor. On account of 6 cases of tumah, certainly we burn.
Suffolk. On account of 6 kinds of doubt, we burn truma.
Right, yeah, the way it's written here. On account of 6 cases of tumah, uncertainty, we burn tumah. On account of the tumah, uncertainty of a base hapras, and on account of the tumah, uncertainty of earth, which comes from the land of the nations. On account of the tumah, uncertainty of garments of earth. On account of the tumah, uncertainty of utensils that are found. On account of the tumah, uncertainty of spittle that is found. And on account of the tumah, uncertainty of human urine, which is approximately to an animal urine. On account of definite contact with these items, which constitutes the question of tumah, we burn teruma. Yossi says also on account of the questionable contact in the private domain, but the comment saying in the private domain we suspend truma, in the public domain it is tahor. Regarding 2 saliva specimens, one of which is tummy and one of which is tahor, we suspend truma on account of touching the saliva, carrying it, or causing it to move in the private domain. And for contact in the public domain, when the saliva is moist, and for carrying it, whether it is moist or dry. If there was a single specimen of saliva and one touched it or carried it or moved it in the public domain, we burn truma on its account, and we needless to say truma is burned on its account in a private domain. Okay.
We haven't done Shabbos yet.
Why? You know what? I stacked it the other ones and put it away. Putting everything away yesterday.